Oh my gosh. Guys, it's Jeannine the machine. Oh my Lord.
Hello.
Jeannine, thank you so much for being here today on tonight's episode of Schmoebates. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me back. This was so fun the last time. So happy to be back.
Well, you are by far one of my favorite judges to have on here. I know you've done it once before, but that was like a format, I feel like a while ago, with a very different format that we had here. So this time around, you're actually going to be participating in the judging process to help determine the winner.
Yeah. I love having power. I love having some power. So
it's a good feeling, you know.
Yes.
Definitely no big deal. No big deal. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If you're a first-time viewer of Schmoebates, thanks for checking us out. We really appreciate it. While you're here, please give us a like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. We'd really appreciate that as well. I'm Alex Mack, part of the Cult Action crew, and Schmoebates is our Schmoedown-themed debate show where we argue and battle, you know, all things Schmoedown to the death. So we definitely try to have a lot of fun here. And say hello to some new people in the chat. Cole loves stories. Hello, girl. We have some, you know, some loyal people, some Ben, PLD. I don't know that guy, but whatever. AJ Lancaster, how you doing? Yeah, but it's going to be a fun time. This is for the usual suspects. This is a usual suspects themed, you know, debate. And obviously, you know, being part of the faction, this must be, you must have some being like, guys, you better do pretty good. You know?
Oh, yeah. I am definitely looking for lots of love for my faction and positive vibes because I love all the people in this faction. So absolutely.
It is a family.
Yes.
It is family, a faction. At least a really great manager creates that kind of environment, definitely. You know, that kind of safe community, you know, when it comes to putting together, you know, a faction for sure. Okay, guys, let's not waste any more time. We're going to go ahead and invite on some of our competitors. The first one is one of the most beautiful people of all time, Miss Bethany Curl and General.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, girl, how's it going?
So good. I'm just here to, you know, hang out with you beautiful ladies, fight with my fiance, but like, you know, in a nice way, and show off all my stuffed animals because I'm an adult and I have a lot of stuffed animals with me here today.
Well, I do kind of want to play a game looking at your situation as how many porgs can be in one screen.
In that mix, yeah.
Or like, you know, it's a good game to play. Porgs and all the baby Yodas, or the child, as what we should call him. I've got love in my heart for all cute and cuddly Star Wars creatures.
It's almost like you like Star Wars or something, maybe.
I couldn't tell.
A little bit.
All right, let's go ahead and bring on our, bring on our other competitor, also your fiance, you know, like you said, Mr. Mike Deacon. What's up?
My Bucky. Love it.
How's it going, my dude?
It's going. I'm here to maintain my perfect record. So we all know I'm the greatest Schmoebater of all time. And we're going to...
I just want to clarify. I just want to reaffirm your perfect record of 0-0, right?
Yeah.
When last time you debated Bethany, she won all 3 questions.
All of them.
You got a lot of pressure going into this one.
Or is there any pressure at all?
Oh!
I like it.
On my back foot. I appreciate it. I'm into this. Okay, well, you guys are both engaged, obviously. So, you know, personal stuff aside, you guys have I know you're in the process of planning a wedding, so definitely no pressure, no big deal, obviously. So are you guys excited to get some fertile, you know, battles going in there?
Of course.
Yeah, I think this will help, you know, with the stress of planning a wedding during a pandemic. So, like, this is our stress release, is fighting tonight. Again, in a loving way.
Yes, always.
Well, speaking of a stress release, are you guys having a cocktail or a beer drink?
Oh, yeah.
Wine, vino?
Some wine, and my lovely, it's hard to see, but it does say I know in our engagement date. And he has a glass that says, I love you.
Again, it's almost like Star Wars.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. What is that?
What? It's almost like it's from a movie. What?
That's like a movie. Can we walk
What about you, Mike? What are you drinking, Mike? Are you drinking some scotch? Or are you drinking a regular whiskey, a bourbon? Daniels. Okay.
Okay.
You fancy? Is there ice or no?
I had a Death Star sphere in it, but it kept melting, so I can't see it.
Well, it's the thought that counts for sure. There's so many Star Wars.
So much Star
It's
Wars.
like this is actually just low key a Star Wars after
Just
show.
battle,
Did you
yeah.
know?
For the wedding.
All right, guys. I know it's been a while since you guys competed on here, so thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I really, really appreciate it. I do want to kind of go reaffirm the format for tonight's debate. Usual suspects scene today. I'm going to go ahead and bring on the rules here in a quick second. So how we kind of do this? It's 3 questions will be debated tonight between Bethany and Mike, with the winner being determined by the guest co-host Jeannine and our ghost judge. That will be revealed at the end of the episode tonight. If there's a tie between the competitors, the audience vote will serve as a tiebreaker vote. And Jake is our mod tonight, and he'll be supplying the links in the chat. So don't you worry, it's coming. But the round format itself, there are 60-second open statements, followed by 4 minutes, not 40, 4 minutes of open debate and 60-second of closing statements as well. The final round is determined by the host flipping the action coin, and you must win 2 out of 3 rounds to be declared the winner. Each competitor has 1 30-second uninterrupted time extension that could also be used at any time. Totally up to you. You can use it at your pleasure or not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I also have a little message from our ghost judge as well. She is so here for all the Star Wars references. She's here for it all. All right. Okay. So like I said and mentioned earlier before we started recording, we are going to be starting with the first question with Bethany to be starting with her opening statement for 1 minute. Girl, are you ready?
I was born ready.
Of course you were. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the question. Jeannine, can you please do the honors?
All right. Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm going to take that off that little scroll thing, so it's a little bit easier to read for you.
Okay. Question 1. What competitor should Samm start recruiting to the faction for next season?
Yes, no pressure, girl. Let's hear your answer starting now.
Okay, so there's a few obvious, heavy hitters out there, but let's face it, their managers are probably already trying to do their best to make sure they stay in their faction. So I thought of a faction that's been going through a little turmoil recently, which is the Finstock Exchange. And I thought of a nice, fresh and up-and-comer who could be used in many different divisions. And that is the one, the only, the Barbarian. And I guess I shouldn't say the one and only, because he will come with Elvis, obviously, because I think even if he leaves Dagnino, I think he would win that in the divorce settlement, because him and Elvis are very bonded. So Barbarian is, I think Samm needs to start looking into him, recruiting him. He'd be great in singles. He'd be great in Intergeekdom. He can go ahead and match him up with someone in teams. He's kind of a triple threat. And I think he definitely has, he's a nice kind of, like I said, up and comer, but I think he's definitely already proven himself to be a great competitor, and I will yield the rest of my time.
Full 5 seconds, you're looking to get rid of. I like that confidence. Craig the Barbarian, bold choice. I love it.
Great points.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So, Mike, you also have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Of course.
Always. Let's hear it starting now.
So when you look at the usual suspects this year, there was one particular hole they had. They did not have a specialist in Intergeekdom. And when you're looking at the teams right now, it looks like the dungeon has 2 Intergeekdom players, and it's highly unlikely after what their point total was this year that they keep both. So if I'm Samm Levine right now, I'm on the phone immediately with Robert Parker, and we're going to get that championship caliber player onto the usual suspects. Robert Parker is going to not necessarily be a triple threat, but you are looking at somebody who is going to be a gigantic threat to win not only the tournament, but the championship, and bring much needed gold to the usual suspects. I yield my time.
Yielding 10 seconds of time. That's some confidence.
Bold.
Okay. All right. So these are both really fantastic picks. Obviously, both rookies this season, but one is definitely more play in multiple leagues, obviously with 3 leagues. And Robert Parker, he's a very hyper-specific, competitor with the IG so far exclusively. Jeannine, what do you think of the pick so far?
I'm into it. I mean, as a usual suspect, I would love to be in a faction with either of these guys, and they definitely bring some really good things to the table. So, yeah, really loving these picks.
Yeah, I love them as well. I want a question I want to ask you specifically is, what are characteristics that these competitors would have to make you as a faction mate be like, oh my gosh, please come over. Let's have a slumber party, Schmoedown summer party. Let's make this happen. Like, what would those characteristics have to be?
Well, I'm one of the competitors who enjoys studying. So I think, we could have these study sleepover parties with, all the treats and watching movies and talking all that stuff. So I think definitely people who have a passion for movies and they are not shy from studying and prep. And, I would like a competitor that sees that as an important factor. So, yeah, I definitely think both of these players have that.
Studying? What? Like it's
Yes.
hard? Just trying to squeeze in my Legally Blonde reference. Okay, I gotta do it at some point. All right, you guys heard it. Impress her with some of these, much needed skills to really make her excited for these potential faction mates. You guys have 4 minutes to start debating. Starting now.
I'm actually really glad that Jeannine brought up studying, because that was going to be one of my other points, which is that I do think that Craig, aka the Barbarian, is a very good faction mate. As a matter of fact, Ben Bateman in the championship match kind of called out everyone in the Finstock Exchange except for the Barbarian, who he said was the only person that was there for him, was the only person that was helping him study. So I do think that's actually one of his strengths. Not only will he be great as a player individually, but I do think he will actually be a very good faction mate and a very good teammate, and about getting the usual suspects to be where they belong, which is at the top of the rankings. And I also have it on good authority that Elvis is very good at baking. So I think that he would be there for the treat portion of the study slumber parties, so to speak. Robert Parker, I love him. If you are in a bar and you need someone to pick up Jake Yakuveta, he's your guy. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I don't know if he has a companion that'll help bring the treats. I could be wrong. Maybe he likes to bake himself. I'm not really sure. And then as far as inner geekdom goes, I do think that Robert Parker is a force to be reckoned with. But again, I just think you're getting more bang for your buck out of Barbarian, because he can not only help get some much needed points in inner geekdom, but he can also get points in other areas of the league.
Well, I have to retort on that. First off, much love to the Barbarian. He is the only person in the Schmoedown who properly gave the correct answer to a Mortal Kombat question. Mortal Kombat! So he immediately got points in my book for that one. But when push comes to shove, you're looking for an A+. And Inner Geekdom is the place that these usual suspects need the most help. The Barbarian, sure, he can play in all 3 leagues, but you're looking at a best and A- in all 3 leagues. You want championship gold, you're going to go find the stud. And right now, it is well proven in Inner Geekdom. The past 2 champions have been exclusively in Inner Geekdom. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Chance or Mike, because both of them are just on another level too. But Chandru and Smets, by focusing individually on Inner Geekdom, both saw more success than anybody has in a long time. We're more likely to see somebody who's going to focus exclusively on Inner Geekdom achieve championship success, as opposed to somebody who's studying for both leagues, finding success in either of them.
I do think, though, that the person who just currently won the Inner Geekdom championship kind of disproves, or not championship, but the tournament, I should say, disproves your theory. And it happens to be the person that both of our people lost to in that tournament, which is the one and only Chance Ellison. So I think if he can do it, I definitely think that other competitors like the Barbarian can put all their effort into Inner Geekdom, as well as also being able to study for their other divisions and other matches as well. And again, you keep saying that Robert Parker is A+, A+, A+. And again, no offense, everyone has bad matches.
Lord of the Rings exhibition?
I did see it, and he was great. Again, I will give credit where credit is due, and I do think that Parker is great, but he was supposed to be the chosen one.
He's
And
missed 2 questions so far.
I know, but he did get knocked out in the tournament. So if he's as A+ as you say he is, then he should have won the whole thing. And again, Elvis makes treats.
The suspects don't need the Barbarian because Ethan is the ultimate singles competitor. Unless you're going to put the Barbarian and Ethan together as a team, you've already got the ultimate singles competitor.
We could do that.
However,
10 seconds.
Parker is bringing something completely different, and he can and will elevate that team to another level that they're not on right now, and the Barbarian cannot do that.
And time. Ooh, having the last say. Ooh, I'm into it. Okay, so, all right. There was quite a few points that were made in these open debates, but what were some of your big takeaways, Jeannine?
Well, you mentioned Mortal Kombat, and I'm there. Like, I love Mortal Kombat, so that was a win for me right there. But I liked the points about diversity of play. I liked that he, likes to study, and Ben bring up the example of Ben bringing that up and talking about how he was a great faction mate in that way. The baking, the treats, that's always nice. And yeah, I like that you kind of brought up, Mike, the whole A+, A- situation where, Craig might not be the best at all of those categories that he could play in, but Parker's gonna be the best in Inner Geekdom for our faction. So I liked that point for sure.
Yes, I totally 100% agree, Jeannine. There is definitely a lot of, pros, to both of these competitors. Obviously, Barbarian is definitely one of the big hot ticket competitors for the draft next season. Obviously, actively competing really successfully in all 3 leagues and arguably Rookie of the Year for sure. He's very vocal about his study habits. And Robert Parker, it's a matter of time before he has a belt. It's just the way it is. I mean, he's Robert Parker, it's the Spider. He's so talented, but his big thing is that he is so hyper focused in one league because, it's a matter of time before he gets a belt. It's just a matter of, can you put all that time and effort invested so much into one league, similar to, Kaiser investing a lot of competitors in IG as well. And look how that worked out. So it's a real big risk for a manager to kind of make that. Now, I do ask you, now we are going to be going into the closing statements, and I do ask our ghost judge as well if there's anything that our ghost judge would really love to see answered, let us know, in the chat. Oh, that's a great point. But also, I think comes down to really who would Samm as a manager, as a former champion, obviously, a retired champion, just correctly, who would Samm manage more efficiently? Okay, so that's something I would love to see you guys really touch on. That's something our ghost judge would really love to see touched on in the closing statement as well. Now, we started with the opening statement with Bethany, so we are going to be closing with you as well. Girl, are you ready with your closing statement?
I'm ready.
All right, let's hear it. Starting now.
So as far as who, at the end of the day, it does come down to who Samm will work best with because he's the person recruiting. It is his faction, and I totally understand that. And I do think that my choice is the obvious choice. Samm did used to play in a couple of the divisions that I think Barbarian can really succeed in. As we've mentioned, he's a rookie. We've seen so many rookies come in hot, slip up a little bit. Bibbs himself was saying how much he sees Barbarian in himself. And, Bibiani did the same thing. He came in, lost his footing a little bit. Then when he got under a good manager, he was able to succeed. And I think that Samm would love helping Barbarian flourish in the singles just because Samm does know that very well. I also think that he would love to help him flourish in all of the other possible divisions that he could play in, and Inner Geekdom, in teams and all of that. So I think that I could really see them working well. Again, I can't stress enough how great I think a faction mate he would be. He's there for the studying. He's there. Elvis is there with the treats. And again, nothing against Robert Parker. I think he is going to be a phenomenal Inner Geekdom thing. But again, I think rookies sometimes they get knocked down a little bit. And I think that the Barbarian is going to be super hungry next year. And Samm would be a fool not to take him.
Oh, that's a really solid argument. Absolutely. But also let's be clear, anyone that takes either of these competitors are going to be lucky.
Super lucky.
Let's be honest. Just let's putting that out there into the universe. Okay. All right. Very impressive. Absolutely. Wrapping it with a nice little bow on top. Now, Mike, are you ready to really sell us on your closing statement, to really sell us on Robert?
Of course.
All right. You got 1 minute starting now.
So you ask, who would Samm work better with? And sure, you could go in either direction, but there is so much in Robert Parker that I see Samm Levine almost looking at himself as an inner geekdom competitor. And with the knowledge that he has with Rachel Cushing behind him, they could just take whatever little fine tuning that Robert needs, and they could turn it into something that's just a perfectly oiled machine. My other argument right now is the question says, who should Samm start recruiting? There is no guarantee that the Barbarian is not going to get kept by the Finstock Exchange, because he's most likely going to keep the Founding Fathers, and he gets one more. I seriously doubt there's anybody else in that faction he goes for instead of the Barbarian. Kaiser knows he can only keep one inner geekdom competitor and needs two other competitors. So Parker is going to be the competitor that he can recruit.
Time. Oh, you dropped it. Oh my gosh. That was a steamy little factoid that you just dropped on us in the closing statement. Oh man. Woo. Okay. All right. Okay. Everyone in the chat. Now I'm going to be Jake, our dude behind the scenes. He is going to be dropping a link to you guys. Everyone in the chat, let us know your opinions on who should win this argument. We're also going to be playing the waiting game between Jeannine, our lovely host Jeannine, and our lovely co-host, ghost judge, other unseen co-host as well, unseen judge as well, who they think is the winner of this one. So yeah, overall. Now, Mike, Bethany, you got the first one out of the way. Are you guys feeling a little bit better?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little upset that you dropped something in the closing that I couldn't refute, but other than that, I'm feeling good.
Strategery.
Yeah. Strategery? Like, I feel like you can't say without being like strategery. You know? Gotta say with like bold.
Them's the rules.
Okay. Now we're still waiting. Okay. Ooh, okay. All right. So we are going to be, you guys, let us know in the, let us know through the link who, in your opinions, let us know who you think, Samm should really start low-key recruiting, right now, before the end of the season. Should it be the Barbarian or should it be the Spider himself? Now, I did double check the chats, and both of our judges are in agreement as far as the winner for this debate. Unfortunately, it is breaking your record, though, Mike, because you won this one.
Ding, dang.
Good one. So it's not technically a perfect record anymore. Are you disappointed?
Well, all good things must come to an end.
It's true.
What are you going to do? Yes. Right at the very end, our ghost judge mentioned that your emphasis at the end was very strategic as far as debating, but also your closing statement really sealed the deal overall. And Jeannine, what about you? So obviously you both were in agreement. So
yeah, Bethany had me the whole time. I liked the idea of diverse player, the fact that Craig is a huge studier, so he could really get good at inner geekdom, especially with Rachel there to help. Which I wish you would have mentioned more of that. I like that he mentioned Rachel being able to kind of help with that kind of inner geekdom stuff. So that would have been a great point to make, that to kind of combat his point about IG, that Craig could have gotten just as good at IG with, someone like Rachel, who helps out with the suspects. But yeah, definitely right at the end there, I think it is smart to think about who you could potentially recruit, who your easiest shot at getting. And I do think you have a better shot at getting Robert Parker, not just because, the dungeon sees they already have two inner geekdom players, and Kaiser is not getting rid of Kevin. That Robert could be up for grabs, and it would be an easier get. So that point was what sold me on Mike getting the win. But Bethany, you were amazing. I was with you that whole time. So
I never like to
make treats now.
We'll be awaiting treats in the meantime through the mail. Let's be honest. All right, and I am very surprised to say I was actually on Mike's side for this. I don't like to be on Mike's side for anything because
everyone Mark it in the
But-
calendar, honestly.
I don't want to admit it. Okay, it's never going to happen again. Whatever. But I do want to point out something that our ghost judge mentioned. They made a lot of really great points. On both sides. The faction needs an A+ IG competitor more than an A- competitor that's playing in multiple divisions, not leagues, and has given that strength already. Parker would also help elevate other competitors, IG competitors, such as Jeannine. So just putting that out there. Truth. All right. So we're going to be going into our second question here in just a second. Obviously, we started last time with Bethany. That means this time we're going to be starting with Mike. Are you ready, my dude?
Always.
Of course you are. Okay. You do have 60 seconds on the clock to let us know your pick. And Jeannine, will you please kindly do the honors of reading our second question?
All right. Question 2. After Ethan Irwin, who should be the second pick for Samm's core trio of retained players?
As we know, there can only be 3.
Yes.
So it's going to get feisty. All right, Mike, you got 1 minute starting now.
This is low-hanging fruit for me, and obviously we all enjoy some Champs lunch, and it's got to be Andrew Guy. You've got seriously the most charismatic and entertaining competitor. And there are other people who are entertaining and charismatic, but they are not nearly as good at the trivia aspect as Andrew Guy. One of the most important things you can have is somebody who makes Christian want to keep booking them. And regardless of wins and losses or championship belts, Andrew Guy is a headliner. The Houston event this year was not supposed to be a championship match for the main event. It was supposed to be an Andrew Guy headlined event. Andrew Guy is going to continue to keep the usual suspects in matches, and he also has the ability, especially in teams, to be in that upper echelon of players. I yield my time.
Yield in the last 5 seconds. Oh, great. You're not kidding. A headlining competitor for sure. He doesn't play very often, but when he does, it's a big deal.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Bethany, you also have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. 1 minute starting now.
So I was stuck between a few people because there are a lot of good options. Obviously, it's going to hurt my heart to have to fight against my boy, Andrew Guy. So thanks, Mike. Also, obviously, there's a beautiful lady on screen who is the actual correct answer is Jeannine, and both of us are wrong because we didn't pick the correct person. But I will tell you who my person is. In my humble opinion, has the best hair in all of the Schmoedown. A fellow Baby Yoda lover, and that is the one and only Molly Damon. Why Molly Damon, you might ask? Well, kind of goes back to our last question with Samm does need some people in some different divisions. He needs strength in different divisions. And Star Wars is a division that's tricky. There's a lot of heavy hitters, but there's also a lot of people that it takes quite a while to heat up in the Star Wars division. And I think a lot of these other coaches are going to try to keep their heavy hitters, and Samm would be smart to keep his.
All right. Oh, an insane competitor, a competitor that's very close to my heart, obviously, our Lord and Savior, Andrew Guy. But that's also arguably one of the best up and coming Star Wars competitors as well.
Oh, yes.
Right. And you're not kidding. Definitely some of the best hair in Schmoedown. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's not arguable. That's just a fact.
Got some great hair. Us gingers have to stick together, so have to give her some love.
Well, shout out. I definitely respect that. Absolutely. All right. Well, one of them is Jeannine. I do want to know from you not only what are some of your thoughts about these picks, but honestly, looking at these as if you were in a kind of management role, like helping, picking people for the roster. What do you think about this?
Well, I appreciate you guys not picking me to, sway the judge. So I appreciate that. Even though the answer is me, of course.
Obviously.
But I think these are both smart picks. Star Wars, like you said, is a tricky division. So I think it is important to kind of hang on to that type of person. But then you also want a star who's going to get you matches, who's going to draw attention to your faction. So yeah, these are some interesting picks. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And risky, a very risky pick.
Yeah.
Very risky picks. Now, let's be honest. I'm very eager to see them explain these two in particular, because obviously we love both these competitors.
Yes.
But Andrew Guy, he's played like 2 matches this entire season. And same with Molly, and and she only played obviously in the Star Wars division. And so far, I mean, like I said, that's so far with Andrew. He is going to be in the team's tournament, obviously. But yeah, we haven't really seen all that much of them this season. So yeah, we definitely want to see more of them for sure. In the future. Okay, well, you guys do have 4 minutes of open debate. Are you guys ready?
So ready.
Always ready. Let's do it. 4 minutes starting now.
Okay, so first and foremost, again, it pains me to say anything negative to Andrew Guy, but Andrew Guy will be the first person to admit that he does not like playing in the digital format. And if the match against Ben Bateman is any indication, he's not the best at playing in this digital format. He hates the digital wheel. It always screws him. He's been going on and on about the Schmoeminati. So it's not his best time is to play in this. And let's face it, we don't know when we're going to be able to go back to in-studio matches and live matches. And you want to know where Andrew Guy thrives? Live matches. Do you want to know where Molly Damon thrives? In situations like this. I think that I think she can thrive in any situation, but of the 2 competitors that we're talking about here, and in the particular landscape that we are in right now, I think Molly Damon is the stronger competitor to go with because she plays better in this kind of condition. I do think she will be able to play in studio. I think that, she has played in a live setting before. She did it at the one Fatal 5-Way at Star Wars Celebration last year. But I think that she's comfortable in this. She's not worried about digital wheels like Andrew Guy is. And the other thing I was talking about with the Star Wars being tricky, it's tricky. It is a hard division. And like I said, there are big stars. You have a few big stars, and then everyone else tends to fall to the wayside. So the big stars, all of their managers are going to want to keep, a hold of. There's no way Winston is getting rid of Ace Cabrera. There's no way that Roxy is going to get rid of Alex Damon with his sexy number picking. I mean, mind you, everyone picks sexy numbers according to her, but I'm sure he picks the sexiest. So there's no way that basically that those people are going to give up those. And then you start getting to slim pickings if you don't have your Laura Kellys, if you don't have your Demolantes. But someone like Damon, he already has. So it'd be so smart for him to hold on to her because you want a heavy hitter in Star Wars.
Okay, so let's also look at it from this perspective. So I'm pretty certain Laura Kelly and Ace are definitely most likely going to be kept. Demolant is a long shot, but if anyone else is going to be kept, and of course Alex is going to get kept, and Alex is now a dual threat, so obviously Alex should be kept. Then you've got the pool of the remaining players, and there's going to be about 3 or 4 of them that are really worthwhile. You also have to keep in mind right now, though, that Samm does not have a first-round pick in next year's draft. He gave that up in the trade for Ethan. So you're really telling me that you're going to use pick on Molly Damon right now, and I love Molly Damon, but you're going to use a pick when you don't have a first-round pick to get one of your core players on somebody in Star Wars? So then all of a sudden you're looking as your best all-around player for singles and teams now is going to be somebody who's a second tier of the singles and teams competitors, whereas there's a fairly decent chance you could still get Molly Damon in that second round. However, there is not a chance in hell that Andrew Guy, if he is in the pool of drafted competitors, is going to go 10 picks.
I 100%. I mean, I agree that Andrew Guy is going to go early, but I do not think that you're going to get Molly Damon at that late in the game, just because, like I said, the area of elite Star Wars players is very, very small, very, very small. The area of elite overall Schmoedown singles competitors, team competitors, there is just statistically, there are more of them. So if you don't get Andrew Guy, yeah, that sucks, but there's someone right there. Like, you should know fantasy football, sir, that running backs, you want to get quick because there are not as many of them. Wide receivers, you have way more depth. Andrew Guy is a wide receiver. There's way more depth there.
I'll retort.
I mean, like, there's way more options besides just him. Again, I love you.
And
Andrew.
time. Man, there's some punches in here regarding some fantasy football, Star Wars, bringing up just a quick reminder about the first round pick in the draft as a trade for Ethan Irwin. Bringing out the facts, Mike. I'm impressed. Wham, bam. All right. Jeannine, what do you think of these arguments so far?
Oh, these are tough because, these are definitely some interesting picks. Great points. I think I'm kind of already leaning in one direction. But I think you guys are doing a great job. You're messing with my head. I don't know.
Yes. I totally agree. I do think our ghost judge also has some questions as well. She did put them in the private chat up here, but she says, who has the potential to bring in more points next season? Obviously, Samm as a manager, unfortunately, let's face it, not exactly in the top 2 or 3 factions this season, but in spite having some really top tier competitors for sure. So, think about it as a faction as a whole, who can bring in more points, but also just want a quick reminder that, guys, you have 30 seconds of extra time if you feel the need to use it, of uninterrupted time. Just want to point that out there. But both of you guys have. You can use it or not use it. And I was going to mention a little bit later, but now seems just as important to use it more than any. So I just want to point that out there. But our ghost judge, you really got to impress them. They are really, really on the fence here for sure. Okay, we do have our closing statement here in a split second, but Jeannine, this is our second question. This is our second question today. What is like the key thing, the key point they really got to sell you on to guarantee your vote for this question?
I want to hear what the potential is that you think they can do for the faction next season. What are they going to bring that the other one's not? What are they going to give us that we're not going to get from the other player?
Absolutely.
Who's going to do more for us in the long run?
Absolutely. Got to think about those investing in those competitors. Let's hear it. Mike, you have 1 minute on the clock to really sell us on Andrew Guy, starting now.
So it comes down to a couple of simple facts. First off, we don't know when everything is going to return to in-studio. When things do return to in-studio, just based on availability and location, Andrew Guy is going to be way more easy to get in there than Molly Damon is. Molly Damon only competing in Star Wars is going to very much depend on how heavy that division goes next year. We don't know if it's just going to be a tournament or if he's going to throw in matches here and there. That's to be determined. We do know for a fact that singles and teams are both going to be very much a real thing next year. And right now, Guy is going into a tournament where he's one of the favorites with Ethan to advance in the team's tournament. He potentially could even be going into next season with a belt, which is something we cannot say about Molly. Molly definitely has a chance as a Star Wars competitor. There's no doubt about that. And I'm going to add my extra 30 seconds. And
oh, snap. All right.
So Molly Damon is really, she's a one-dimensional player. I don't mean that in a bad way. If she takes a step from Alex, potentially she could be in that ace tier, but right now she's only going to be competing probably, even if she wins a tournament, a grand total of 4 or 5 times. The possibilities for Andrew are so much higher. If there's live events and in-studio events, we're going to see him so many more times, and that point total for that team, which is why you want to keep him as opposed to Molly, is because you have so much more potential. His ceiling is so much higher than hers.
10 seconds.
So that is exactly why you want Andrew Guy. He's the entertainer. He brings the most YouTube views. He's definitely the one that you need to keep in this circumstance.
And time. Ooh. That was a spicy closing statement, if I do say so. All right. Bethany.
Can I go ahead and just say now that I would like my extra 30 seconds so that way I don't have to make
Okay, you want a solid minute and a half. I respect that. Okay,
if he's doing a minute and a half closing.
I respect that. Okay, you guys, you have a minute and a half for your closing statement. I'm also gonna whip that sucker up here, and yeah, you got to really sell it to us. You got one, and you got 90 seconds starting now.
All right. So you want to talk about what Molly Damon can do to your faction. She can absolutely change the tides, swing it into the favor of the usual suspects completely, just dominating next year. I have 2 words for you. Ace Cabrera. Basically, she could be that for the usual suspects next year. Winston was down and out, right? And then all of a sudden, Ace Cabrera comes in. He nails that Star Wars tournament. That could be her next year. This year, she lost to Demolanta, a man who went literally to the finals of that tournament and lost to Ace. I think next year, just like I said with Barbarian in the last round, next year she's coming in hungry and she's going to dominate that tournament. I know what you're thinking. It's one division. Andrew Guy plays in a lot. He's super entertaining. He draws in views. Well, she's on a little thing called Star Wars Explained, and I don't know if you've looked at their YouTube account lately, but it's massive. I don't know if you were at the Atlanta event, but they had their own personal meet and greet. Alex and Molly did. So I think she can bring in some views as well. And she's also highly entertaining. And again, great hair. And I know you're like, oh, it's just Star Wars. But again, Andrew Guy, love him to death. I think he's a great competitor, but there are other Andrew Guys. I mean, there aren't in the fact that he's super entertaining and also great, but there are other entertaining players and other really, really good players that can play in singles, that can play in teams. But like I said, in Star Wars, there are only a few elite players right now. And yes, we're bringing in new ones all the time, but it takes a while to get your footing in. Again, let's talk about Ace Cabrera. He didn't come in amazing automatically. He had a little stumble back in the day, came in with Winston and knocked out of the park. I think that if Molly keeps working with Samm, next year they could be that true success story, and she could take that Star Wars tournament, get lots of points for the faction, turn the tides for the usual suspects, and then bam, they're on the top of the podium.
Man, you're making me emotional about Molly Damon in a way I never thought I would. Like, man, I'm just like reminded. I was like, I just really want people to succeed so bad. You know, these people work so hard; they deserve it, and you know, I want to see them, just compete more in general, obviously. So anyway, okay. All right, those were some really, really fantastic arguments. Now, that was our second question. Before we go into our third and final question, we are going to be waiting for both of our judges to really let us know who they think won this debate. It is the lovely, beautiful, and incredibly, obviously, I would never be biased towards her, Miss Bethany Curl, choosing Molly Damon, the Star Wars division competitor, or is it Andrew Guy, a singles/teams competitor? So, yeah, it's really, it's definitely a risky move. I think, honestly, with both. I love both options, but it's definitely risky overall. Now we are going to be, like I said, over to the chat. You guys can vote right now. Let us know your opinions. Who do you think that Samm should or would go with? Is it going to be, would he choose his Star Wars competitor, Molly Damon, obviously, who is a rookie this year as well, sitting at 1-1, or is it Andrew Guy? And I don't even know what his singles and teams, situation is, honestly. Like, I don't know what his numbers is. That's why we got mix. Some people from the chat are always real quick to say, Jen Kemp, can't forget about her, obviously, and Jeannine, because she's always OG. Ben says, if I were Samm, I keep Jeannine, Molly, and Ethan.
I agree, Ben. Okay. 100% on all of this.
Asking the really important question, though, is William Harold himself, though, but can Andrew play football?
We've heard he can. He said he played in high school.
There you go.
Well, if you played in high school, Okay, well, I am going to be pulling this is a very tough pick for both of our competitors. they're both of our judges are still kind of going a little bit of back and forth between the two. So guys, over in the chat, that's why it's so important for moments like this to let us know your opinion of who you think who had a better argument. Please let us know in that little link that Jake set up, and so we can get it going here pretty soon. Now, hello, Garrett Lee. Hello, new person. Welcome, and thanks for coming in and hanging out.
Hello.
Really appreciate it. Yes. I want to know, Jeannine, I want to know from you. I'm sad you're not in the team's tournament. I gotta say. Are you going in? Okay, so are you you obviously came off of a huge win, really awesome win against Warfather, and you wiped the floor with that second round. It was, I can't remember if it was Audrey Hepburn, was it?
It was. Mm-hmm.
It was Audrey Hepburn, of course, with Audrey Hepburn. Okay, so are you watching your faction mates going into the team's tournament with being like, man, I really wanted to get in here, or what was your mindset kind of when you were kind of told about this team's tournament as a faction mate?
Well, when we got Ethan, I was really excited. The potential of Time Machine reuniting. I think we didn't get the chance to really spread our wings as a team, but we played amazing together. Our chemistry was great, and I had so much fun. Ethan was always there. He totally chilled me out. I'd be a little bit, in my head about things, but Ethan totally chilled me out. So that potential was always really exciting for me. But ultimately I left it up to Samm, and I support his decision wholeheartedly. I think, Guy is a proven amazing teams player. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He is kind of up and down when it comes to singles, but teams, he's usually pretty solid. That's where he shines the most, I think, in gameplay. And Ethan's always amazing. So definitely supporting my team 100%. Would I have loved Time Machine to reunite? Of course. And I had been saying all season that, I wanted to focus more on teams and give singles a break. So I was excited to potentially play in teams this season, but I love my faction mates. I love these guys. I love Samm, and he knows what he's doing. So definitely 100%, cheering on my boys. So.
Absolutely. We have to also, I'm also worried for our Lord and Savior Andrew Guy. I'm like, is he doing okay? Can I send him some flowers, or
when he was losing it a little bit, I'll step up if you need me. I'll step up if you need me.
If you ever want to just chill and watch a movie or watch Titanic and cry it out or something.
Yeah.
What's up? Okay, guys, it's important now more than ever to let us know your opinion. So, definitely get voting. Just want to give you a heads up. We are going to be diving into our third and final question here pretty soon. And then after our third and final question as well, we are going to find out the winner of tonight's Usual Suspects theme debate. Okay, guys, we're going to go into a third and final one. And like I said earlier, we are going to be using this magic little action coin to determine who's going to go first. Okay, so as we chat before recording, this is a wonderful little team action Patreon little coin here. And so on one side it has AMA, fifth year anniversary, and boom, look at this. It's a nice little hefty coin here. And so I believe Mike said earlier before we started recording that you choose the boom side. Bethany chose the 5th AMA. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to flip. And it is the boom side. So, Mike, we need to know from you, do you want to go first or defer to your lovely wife?
I am going to
Sorry,
defer.
fiance.
I'm deferring.
Soon enough.
Deferring.
Deferring.
Every time I hear someone say defer, I naturally have a for a split second, I think of that scene from Pitch Perfect with defer. No one.
And I was with you. I was with you there.
Yes.
It took me a minute, but I got there.
That's why you're my favorite, Bethany. I appreciate you. Okay. We're going to be going to our third and final question. And please, Jeannine, will you please do us the honor in reading the third and final question?
All right. Last question, guys. A crime has been committed at the Usual Suspects headquarters. Who is the culprit?
I had fun with this.
Dun, dun, dun.
I had fun, guys. Okay. I had fun. It's almost like it's based on a movie or something crazy. Oh my gosh. Lots of crime. Okay. So we are going to go into our third and final one. So, Bethany, are you ready for your last opening statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Your woman on the clock starting now.
So, the faction is called The Usual Suspects. And you want to know who names factions? The manager of that faction. And I don't think that you can name your faction The Usual Suspects and not automatically become the suspect. Hence why, obviously, this crime would have been committed by Samm Levine. And I know what you're thinking. Why would he go ahead and basically do a crime against his own faction, his own headquarters or whatever? Well, obviously, because he's the usual suspect. Because he would want you to think, yeah, I'm the head honcho of this. I wouldn't want anything to come astray to them. But then he does have some wheeling and dealing. He has a certain someone, a crusher, who might be behind the scenes. She seems sweet and innocent, but she might be pulling some strings and helping him get away with some crimes.
Mm. And time. Well, one and time. All right. Okay. So sounds like you're insinuating a combination of culprits. Potential culprits as in plural. Is that correct?
Culprits, yeah. There's, behind every man is a great woman. That's all I'm saying.
Mm. That is the truthiest truth I've ever heard. That's very true.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Mike, you also had to sell us on who this culprit is. You got 60 seconds to tell us who it is, starting now.
So when we're looking at the usual suspects, sometimes it's not the most obvious choice. And sometimes it's somebody who appears to be very aloof and indifferent about things, and perhaps only caring about their paycheck. It also is probably somebody who's been scorned in the past, perhaps traded to another team, and then forced to manage said team when all he really wanted to do was retire and announce. So the most likely culprit, of course, has to be Ken Knapsack. He is one of the smartest people in this Schmoedown right now. He wants you to think, hey, I don't care about anything except for collecting my paycheck, maybe watching Young Guns Part 2 for the 800th time today. And right now, it's just, yeah, you don't think it's me, but it is me, because I really am smarter than everybody here. So Samm Levine thinks he got away with trading me. Well, I'm going to get back at him.
Oh man. Oh. Jeannine, a crime has been committed. Who is the culprit? You're interviewing, you're sitting down with people. You are the Sherlock Holmes into a potential, Moriarty kind of situation over at the headquarters. You're interviewing people. And what do you think of these potential suspect list?
I mean, do I see Samm and Rachel as like a Bonnie and Clyde? Interesting. It's interesting to think about. Ken, does he have some motive? Perhaps. So yeah, very, very interesting choices. I mean, sometimes, your criminal hides in plain sight, and that's kind of a smart tactic. So the Samm choice is very interesting. But yeah, then, you do have a disgruntled ex-member that is also a very smart choice as well. So I'm into it.
Mm-hmm. I'd be excited for both of these. I'm excited for them to commit a crime, but that's not true. I'm really curious about the motivations behind these potential criminals. Like, what is their goal? What is their reason to be there? But also, why? I mean, like overall, if you're going to commit a crime, knowing that there's a lot of consequences, there's got to be a lot to do. I mean, there's got to be quite a reasoning for sure. So I'm excited to hear you guys dive into that in much more depth. And, our ghost judge has called both of your picks quite genius. And they're not going to, and no one is, they're really kind of curious to see you paint these beloved people in this potential light. No pressure. No pressure. You guys got 4 minutes starting now.
I agree that I think Ken Knapsack has some motive. You know, he was traded away. He did just want to retire to the announcing life. But that's the fact that you're saying that this is an act, that he's not motivated, I think is untrue, because he has stated he didn't want to be brought back into this. He didn't want to compete. He didn't whatever. So if he doesn't have the motivation to compete in a match, do you think he has the motivation to compete, you know, in a crime, to actually care enough to want to commit a crime or do anything to scorn the people that traded him away? If anything, he's probably happy that, you know, he did get traded away, and then that ended up leading to him in more of a managerial role, because that means next season he won't have to compete, and, you know, so on and so forth. So I just think I get you. I get you on motive. If it was anyone besides Ken, who, again, I just don't think has the motivation. As far as the crime, I think the crime is to go ahead and get the usual suspects basically to lose this season. This is the, you know, again, Samm, he's trying to act like he's trying to help his faction, and he wants everyone to win and to do well. But I think really he wants to be the savior at the end of the day. So his whole thing is he's went ahead and committed a crime at HQ because he's secretly wants to basically actually hurt his faction. So in that way, next year, he's like, you know what, I wasn't caught out for managing after all. I thought I was. And then all of a sudden he ends up just sneaking back in there as a competitor, because, you know, that's what he really wants to do. He's missed it. So I think that's kind of his slimy, sneaky way. And again, this is the man who can, like, talk a judge out of anything. Have you heard that man challenge things? It is like chef's kiss. Like, it could be the silliest thing, and he works his way. So if he can do that against, like, Christian Harloff in a simple challenge in a Schmoedown match, he could get away with anything. And again, we're not ruling out the Bonnie and Clyde here with Rachel in the back. Again, she seems sweet. She seems unsuspecting. She's quiet, but they always say it's the quiet ones you got to watch out for. So I think that she's wheeling and dealing. They're trying to make the whole thing go up in flames. And then that way he's like, oh, yeah, no, I guess managing wasn't for me. Boom, 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 boom. Comes back in as the savior next year and is like going for belts.
That's way too grand of a scheme right there. It's way too grand.
He's a grand man.
See, the more perfect crime for this scenario, a more likely crime would be, you know, somebody has a key or the combination lock and just walks in, eating a ham sandwich, just moseying around and setting all the clocks back 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. You know,
that's your crime.
Well, what's going to happen?
Even that is too much effort for Ken.
The usual suspects suddenly will start missing their appointments. And what's going to happen? Look at this. Brandon Hanna just won a match by forfeit. Because what happened? Jen Kemp was late for the match.
That is way too much forethought for Ken Knapsack. He can barely show up himself on time to manage his matches. And you think he's trying to hurt another faction?
Ahead 10 minutes. So now he's a mastermind. You forget how smart Ken Knapsack actually is. So
I don't disagree that he's a smart man, but I just don't think he has the motivation. I'm sorry.
So
he's just not that good of an actor, I think. You want to know who he is?
He is the smartest man alive in the Schmoedown right now. He might even just move the rugs a little bit so that when they're trying to open the doors, all of a sudden the door jams.
I like to think that Jeannine will open a door.
I can't open the door. And Ken's like, yes.
No. That's what it is.
Style. He's
I think you're giving him way too much credit.
No, well.
Oh my gosh.
When everybody can show up on time, there's going to be a really long time for the usual suspects.
Mm-hmm.
It might change for a lot too.
I'm sorry, I was taking notes and I got lost track of time. I apologize. That was my bad. I did not give you a countdown, but oh my gosh.
You always knock it out of the park on the round 3 questions, Alex, by the way. I always have the most fun with these.
Oh my gosh.
Like you broke her.
I just kept thinking, I'm hearing this, Ken being like, he's definitely suspicious. He's walking around smooth talker and everything. He's hyper competitive, like low key hyper competitive, but same time, like the crime that Mike described, he's like low key just moving around the rug.
Changing clocks back, I just
kept thinking that is like honestly some serious vicious shit.
This is what goes on in his mind. I can think of these things.
I gotta be honest, that just sounds like a fun time. I kind of want to do that now a little bit.
It's a good time. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Overall, over to the chat. And thank you so much for describing these, potential crimes and everything. Both our judges, not only Jeannine, obviously, but our ghost judge is. Oh my gosh, he is. They are cracking an egg, loving these crimes. And they want to know specifically is, both of you guys have really made some really great points overall, but they want to know a little bit more about. Our ghost just kind of mentioned that they want to know a little bit more about the motivation itself. Like, what is the end goal for someone like Ken or Samm and Rachel potentially? Like, what is the long-term goal for them doing this as well? So I heard a lot of descriptions of the crime itself, but like long-term, why would someone like Ken risk it all to walk around eating a sandwich and set it back the time for a few minutes? Like, I want to know the reason why that would be so bad for the faction. How would that really hurt him in the long run? But also Samm and Rachel. Like you kind of mentioned how, they're this Bonnie and Clyde kind of situation, but like, what is their end goal with this potential crime? Yeah. Jeannine, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, girl?
Yeah, basically what motivated this turn, particularly with Samm and Rachel? What changed for them that they kind of wanted, like you said, risk it all to, have this kind of savior end game? Like, so I definitely want to hear that. I do kind of want to hear more about like legit crimes that Ken would commit, because those things are more annoying than just actual crime.
Yeah, like that's not a crime.
So like, yes, I could see Ken doing those things, but I want to hear a little more like sinisterness from Ken as a criminal. So I want to hear that.
There is that potential. I remember that Star Wars promo from months ago. I do. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Remember that with the mask? Oh my gosh. It was so, oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh, I love it. So we definitely want to hear more about the crimes. Also, something I would actually love to hear from you is, well, our ghost judge in particular would love to know about not only exploration of the crime itself, but I would love to know, it's like Samm and Rachel are obviously, these are really awesome people. They're people we know and love, and what a beautiful couple they are, obviously. I can't picture them as criminals, obviously. So there's got to be something like, what's turning them? What did turn them? Or were they always bad, low key, and we just didn't know it yet? Or like, what is the sinister motivation behind this potential huge heel turn? We've never seen Rachel or Samm go heel, so let's see it. All right, girl, you have 1 minute on the clock to really sell us on Samm and Rachel really pulling it together as a few culprit team, per se. You have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Starting now.
So, as we all know, Samm Levine is a big, big fan of the Schmoedown. So big, in fact, that he once used to be a star. And then he decided to take a step back, wanted to go in more of a managerial role. And I think, honestly, his intentions were good. Then again, we have Rachel, a massive star in the league. She goes ahead and also retires because, it all just became to be too much. But I think once you kind of start creeping back in it, Rachel on backstage, Samm managing, And, it's kind of like those dance moms that like live vicariously through their children. And then suddenly like they want to be the star. They're like on the side doing the dance. They're like, shake it, Trisha. And I think Samm Levine is a little bit of a dance mom. And I think he just misses it and he wants to get back in there. And so it's little things like, oh, Rachel's going to help you study for inner geekdom, Jeannine. And then maybe Rachel doesn't help you study as much as you thought that she did. So, just these little crimes here and there. And then before you know it, Bonnie and Clyde are back at it with belts for themselves. And again, I just don't think that Ken is that motivated to do that. Even if it is just moving a rug, that's too much effort for him.
And time. Oh, I want this really bad. I don't want it because it would hurt my soul. It's like some of my favorite competitors, but oh my gosh, that would be a character twist. I love it. Bethany, go be a story writer for Schmoedown. Go make that happen, girl. Go make that happen. You're down there. Virtual. I can use virtual.
They're lovely people, and I don't think they would ever. Boy, would it be juicy.
But also, yes, Jake says Samm is a dance mom.
He's a dance mom.
Let's just get that on a shirt, guys. Let's just get on a shirt. All right, Mike. No pressure, but you really got to sell us on not wanting that. Overall. You also have 1 minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Sure.
Starting now.
Look, this is literally a Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam situation right here. Knapsack's whole motivation is to see Sam flip out. And we all know that Sam is prone to flip out at the slightest little thing, missing a word "the" in the title of something. He might just go in there and unplug his refrigerator. And, oh boy, the milk is spoiled now. Oh, what's happening now? We got all of his Chicago Cubs merchandise. Well, it's been replaced by New York Mets merchandise. And that's the right team, of course, when you're Ken Knapsack. You got Darryl Strawberry hitting the Budweiser sign in 1986. That's the way things are going to go when you're doing a Ken Knapsack type crime. He might change the locks, might change the combination. He might just drink the milk and leave it on the floor. Just watching Samm Levine get upset, agitated, and flustered is a reward all in itself.
So it sounds like a little bit of psychological warfare for Ken's part. I'm here for it. There's a lot of psychological warfare when it comes to managers. That's for dang sure. Okay. Jeannine, have you ever issued a little bit of psychological warfare as a competitor?
No, I'm not that type of competitor. I just kind of go out there and focus on me. If you focus too much on the other people, then that's where problems arise, I think.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. Some people are there's just really horrible, competitors out there that are just Hannah, that just do it for no reason. I just don't understand. Or Ben Bateman. I don't know what Ben Bateman's doing right now. That dude, he needs to calm down and take a breath. Okay.
He takes enough breaths, long pauses and breaths before he answers a question that he knows. Yeah, those are fun mind games he likes to play.
I don't like it, Ben. All right, Jake has already put in the chat the link. So, guys, you guys got to let us know who you guys think really won this match. Is it Ken Knapsack running around the headquarters, moving around the rug, switching out the times, letting the milk spoil to really mess with Samm Levine, and Rachel's potential advisor? Or alternatively, is it the other way around? Or is it Rachel and Samm sabotaging their own, faction, or in order to walk around at the end of this season being like, hey, we actually want to be competitors again and be dance moms. Man, that visual. I just picture Mean Girls.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Right away. I just it was clear as day. Clear as day.
There's Amy Poehler.
The blonde hair and everything. It really helped.
Juicy Couture tracksuit.
Oh, Rachel, if you're out there, can you make that your Halloween costume? Okay. Okay, so all right, guys, this actually completes our debates today. So in the meantime, I'm going to be we are still waiting in the process to pull in all the votes. We're going to be rating we're clocking in at just an hour and about almost 10 minutes right now for tonight's episode so far, and we're going to be waiting a good 5 minutes for you guys to go vote, make your opinions known, and then we're going to announce the winners. So, and also reveal who's tonight's, ghost judge, who's that's going to be revealed. Yeah. All right. So, real quickly, if you have any questions, comments, if you have answers and you're like Bethany, Mike, your answers sucked. My answers are better. Let us know in a super chat or StreamYard, whatever it may be. But I don't know if you can get much better answer than Dancing Mom Samm Levine. So good luck. All right. Who would have you picked, Jeannine?
Oh, here probably Jeff Snyder, just because he just always seems nefarious at everything, and he is all about mind games, and he definitely looks like a criminal. So. Yes.
What do you think his crime would be?
Embezzling.
Right?
Embezzling.
Terrible. This out, and he's gonna get low key
He probably steal all our cosplay costumes. Probably steal all my entrance costumes because you know what he comes out wearing sometimes. So yeah, I think he would want to win entrance of the year, so he would steal all our costumes.
I can see that.
Now that really would be some actual motivation. I know there's some competitors that I'm amazed haven't won entrance of the year, like yourself. Machine, obviously. You have really fantastic entrance costumes and everything, but also Bibbs hasn't won one.
Yes. Brienne and Stacy, they were doing amazing things.
Do we need to talk? Can we talk about for a second? The Poison Ivy Harlequin, really great. Oh, those are my favorite ones.
Yes.
And so it came in on a throne and everything.
Yeah, she was carried.
Everyone wore masks. Yeah. I think one of the true criminals though was low-key was probably Mike. Walking around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you do you have an alibi for Mike?
Yeah, when the Usual Suspects headquarters was broken into, I don't. He said he was working that night, but I'm not sure now because he seemed to know a little bit too well about certain things that may or may not have transpired. I don't know if he can be trusted. What does that look? Yeah,
Mike does have Mike is low key popular with everyone. That is very true. I've never met anyone aside from myself, obviously, that looks at Mike and be weenie, So yeah. I guess I'm a lone wolf in that case overall. Okay, so while we still have some time, again, is that we're gonna go ahead and go around. I do want to talk about what we're doing and all that good stuff. Jeannine, I know did you just film an episode, record an episode, or did you just post an episode? How Morgan hasn't seen it, really wrapping up the Twilight franchise.
Yes, we posted that today. We've been talking all the Twilight movies. Morgan had never seen them. So yeah, we finished the last one today. So is he a twihard, or did he really fall prey to everyone's negative reactions to those movies? So check it out on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. Yes.
What do you think is the best film from the Twilight franchise?
None of them.
Hey.
Well, one that's great.
Someone has a hater.
I think Eclipse is the best one, but I think Breaking Dawn has the best sequence, has the best moment. Yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you for sure on that. I was like, Bethany, are you a Twihard fan?
Oh, I used to be in it. The books, the movies, everything. I loved it. New Moon was a little depressing, but I think Eclipse was probably my favorite book and my favorite of the movies as well. I still read Midnight Sun. But I feel like my inner teenage girl wants me to go read Midnight Sun. So it's on my list of things to do. Sadly, but true.
Yeah, and guys, Jake did post all that good stuff. If you're kind of curious, obviously Jeannine has a lot of really amazing stuff going on. The Jeannine, Jeannine design. Obviously, it's a wonderful podcast. It's really great. It's I believe it's available everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. All that good stuff. So definitely check it out. It's also in the description box below. But where else can we find you? Jeannine?
You can find me at Jeannine Devine on Twitter and Instagram. And the It's a Wonderful podcast. We also have a Patreon. It's Wonderful One on patreon.com. We have some fun tiers. Actually, one of our patrons picked the Twilight Saga. So I did not put it on him. PLT. Our patron chose that. They wanted to put that on Morgan. So you get monthly artwork. We do fun Sunday live streams with our patrons. You can vote in polls for extra content. Morgan, he actually works with a really cool UK football team because he's in the UK. So you get a little insight on that. He designs the programs, takes pictures, and all kinds of stuff. So you get to know us a little bit. And yeah, it's really fun. So come hang out with us at the It's a Wonderful Podcast Patreon.
It's really cool. I know Lucas. He was a patron for a very long time, and it was he always really liked getting the monthly cards essentially. Yeah, the monthly cards, and he was they're all lined up on his desk, nice framed and everything. They're so cool, really cool. And overall, Mike, I gotta ask you a really tough question. Are you Team Edward or Team?
I really have
I can't even say this with a straight face.
No.
I can't even continue that. Okay, you know what? Look,
you tried.
I couldn't even consider looking at his face. Okay, what's your favorite vampire movie?
He only watches
vampire
movie. I actually have an answer for that. Shadow of the Vampire: The Making of Nosferatu with Willem Dafoe. I love that movie.
Oh,
that was a wonderful movie.
It's creepy AF, and I love it.
Really creepy. John Malkovich is awesome in that too.
I didn't know you'd seen another movie that wasn't called Mortal Kombat in your life.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, you made me watch that one too. It was not good.
It's so bad. It's so bad. So creepy. So creepy, Martin Sheen as Aro in the Twilight, where he's like, ah! Oh my gosh. I was like, it's just so weird.
He committed. I appreciate the commitment.
I know. I'm just you know what? You went there, and I respect that. I really, really do. Okay, guys. You guys do have 60 seconds left to go vote and let us know your opinions. Just want to let you know. And if you don't vote, that sucks. But we need to get these votes in real quick.
That sucks.
Okay. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Good to know. I'm just collecting some data, all that good stuff right now. Some over to the chat. I want to know who is some of your favorite vampire movies, characters, all that good stuff. I rewatched Interview with a Vampire for the first time in a very, very long time. So probably since high school since I've seen it, and I enjoyed it so much more than I remember. And I'm it's just delightful. And Tom Cruise, why didn't he go weird? I would love to see him pull a Nick Cage and just get weird in some of his movies. But he's nah, bro, I want to do mainstream action and shit. Whatever. I guess that's cool too.
Whatever. I mean, he went weird just in his personal life, not in the movies, unfortunately.
That's a whole conversation right there.
Christopher Atkinson says 30 Days of Night. You know who directed 30 Days of Night? The same person who directed Eclipse. So there you go.
Bill Condon?
David Slade.
Oh man. Wait.
Condon did the breaking.
Bill Condon, what did he do?
He did the last two. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I only remember Bill Condon as the guy that did the live action Beauty and the Beast. I think he did that one. Yeah, I associate him with that more.
Exclusively gay moment, which was not really that much of a moment. So much hype, and it was a
it
was a look.
And now we're getting a Lion King 2. with a brand new director.
Yeah.
Is it going to be an origin story? I haven't heard any details about it, but it's going to be from the same director that did If Beale Street Could Talk.
Barry
I like the
Jenkins.
director.
Yeah, Barry Jenkins. So
Moonlight. Mhm.
that makes me so much more excited and curious.
Mufasa origin story, Jake says. Oh.
A Mufasa origin story?
Is James Earl Jones
Mufasa.
coming back? Because if so, then maybe I'm into it.
I want a
Okay,
Star Wars story.
do I want to see this movie? Maybe. All right, guys, that is it. You guys, we're out of time. So we are going to be finding out the winner. And as we know, we kind of mentioned earlier, the winner of the first question was what competitor should Samm start recruiting to the faction next season? The winner being Mike choosing, the spider, Robert Parker. Now, on to the second question, being after Ethan Irwin, who should the second pick for Samm's core trio of retained players? Who should be the second pick? Is it going to be Andrew Guy or is it going to be Molly Damon? And this was a question which both our both of our judges, Jeannine and our ghost judge, they disagreed on. So it was up to you guys in the chat to determine, to let us know through the vote. So like I said, those votes are important. And the winner of that one was Molly Damon, meaning both 1 and 1. So both Mike and Bethany have won a question.
Oh, man. Come on, Dance Mom.
Oh, there we
It's
go.
going to be hard to combat that.
Did they misread? Did I misread something in the chat? Jake, did I misread something in the chat?
Oh, no. My point's been taken away.
I don't know. Did I misread something in the chat? Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I didn't scroll up to the correct amount. Surprise. I didn't scroll up. Crazy. And for the third and final question being, a crime has been committed at the usual suspects headquarters. Who is the culprit? The winner being Bethany Curl. Meaning the winner of tonight's episode is Miss Bethany. Miss Baby Mama Yoda Mama herself.
Woo! Baby Yoda Mama. I'd like to thank Samm Levine as a dance mom for that victory. It's 100% that Juicy Couture jumpsuit visual that got me that W, and I'm A-okay with that.
I blame Jake.
Hey, but you got a point this time, Mike. So you did better than last time. We're proud of you.
Remember when Jake was the first person eliminated in the last general standing?
Hey, be nice.
That's very rude. But you guys, okay. So now that we have our winner, congratulations, Bethany. I'm not surprised for you, Mike, but whatever. But we are going to be bringing on our ghost judge. And let me see if I can bring them on. Let's see if they're available. Ghost judge. Let's see if they...
I can't see who it is.
No.
Yay! It's
the person you accused of committing a crime.
Rachel, how did you get? Tell me about the third question. Obviously we can't see you, but did you bust a gut with the third question?
Pretty much. I'm kind of glad I wasn't on camera because I was absolutely dying. And at both of you, I mean, ultimately, Bethany, I think you painted a more complete picture, even if it's about as polar opposite from my character as you can get. Mike, I can now picture Ken sneaking into our home, moving rugs and turning the clock back 5 minutes. That image is stuck there now. That was very difficult, but I guess Samm and I, Bonnie and Clyde, was also quite an image that I can't wait to tell them.
Can we please get you in for a Halloween costume, doing the being the cool mom from Mean Girls? Can we make that happen?
I want to
have a recorder handy.
Yeah, I'll find a sweatsuit for you.
I think you would never actually do these things. Okay, it was a good story.
It was. You painted a great picture.
Wonderful visuals. Okay. Well, I mean, overall, Ghost Judge, obviously we've had Jeannine on screen with us, for this episode, and you were the ghost just hanging out in the background. What were some of the, really big points that really kind of swayed you in today's debate that really impressed you as far as Bethany's arguments?
Well, Bethany, the final question, you just painted a picture from start to finish, and I applaud you for thinking that one through all the way. The second question was the one Jeannine and I came down on two sides of, but it was super, super close. I do think that Bethany, if you had mentioned the fact that Guy doesn't want to play in singles next year, that would have been the solidifying argument, because then he's not as attractive of a player for points for factions. It was one of the things that I was thinking about. But you really hit the nail on the head when you talked about Molly being the new ace, because Ace proved that anybody can do that in that tournament, and Molly could absolutely devastate next year. And then the first question, both really good picks, but Mike, I think you hit the nail on the head in a very honest way. Like, the suspects needs an IG player, and they need an IG player who is super motivated because he didn't quite live up to the hype this year. Think Kevin and Don't Tell Peter. That Parker's coming next year really strong. So that was what won that argument for me.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I'd say, Jeannine, what do you think of Bethany's win today? I mean, do you feel like the right person won? Do you feel like hearing all these wins today, do you think overall, like, the best arguments were made by Bethany pretty consistently?
Yeah, I think Bethany did a little bit of a better job kind of combating the things that Mike was saying, whereas Mike kind of focused on his point and didn't really combat Bethany's points as much. So definitely great arguments made by both. The last question was so much fun. I loved the Ken choice and, the ham sandwich and walking around. Like, I could totally picture all of that, and it was hilarious. So I absolutely loved the Ken choice so much. But I think Bethany just stronger kind of hitting both sides of the arguments for sure. So good job, both of you guys.
Something that I thought was kind of interesting to see that being argued in the third question is that, it's like menacing and sinister, the idea of like having like a real aggressive heel turn between you, Rachel, and Samm, if that were to potential happen as a dance moth situation. Somehow that seemed less realistic to Ken. Like, just casually walking around and moving stuff. And I felt like it felt actually like something like he would legit do.
Yeah, it's just mess with clocks so competitors make matches and like I know, like visual, like I'm hearing these debates and I'm like 100%, like this, they definitely, Bethany made some solid arguments, but something about that ham sandwich. Really, I'm like, you know what? That felt too real to me. that visual, I was like, I feel like I've seen this before, honestly, overall. So you would have had my vote there personally. Okay, we are going to be wrapping it up here tonight. Thank you so much to Jeannine. Thank you so much to Rachel. Thank you to everyone over in the chat that's been hanging out with us tonight. Bethany, Mike, thanks for hanging out with us again. And we're going to go ahead and do some quick plugs, obviously, real quick before we head out. So, Bethany, where can we find you and your beautiful face?
B11 Curl on Instagram if you want to see lots of Star Wars Disney stuff. And then you can find me, just my name, on Facebook. I'm in lots of different Schmoedown pages. So I'm the one who made the ears. So if you remember those infamous Disney ears, you've probably seen me on Schmoedown pages before.
I remember those ears in New York. They were cute ears. Mm-hmm. That's for dang true. All right. Mike, did you finish your whiskey?
Oh, yeah.
He did.
I'm on beer now.
Sorry.
I dig it. I respect that. And where can we find you?
I'm on the social networks. MDeek82 is where you'll find me on Facebook. But I can tell you, I just got confirmation on this tomorrow night, midnight. Video Chronic quiz, AJ Lancaster versus myself in a Mortal Kombat quiz.
I've been waiting for.
So yeah, tomorrow night I will be on that.
Oh boy,
I might have to sneak in on that one.
That's gonna be a great one. Usually that's too late for me, honestly, but I don't want to be in it. But I love watching people do it. Oh my gosh, it's a favorite. It's a real favorite. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of love for both our competitors today, and a lot of congratulatory messages down here as well. Thanks to everyone that's been hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And Rachel, where can we see you, your beautiful face, and whatever it is that you are working on?
Oh, Twitter, Instagram at Rachel J. Cushing. You all know I'm the new coast host. I'm backstage with Ben Bateman, trying to keep him in line these days, and also working on a bunch of Game of Thrones stuff with the one and only Ken Knapsack, who is sneaking into my apartment and moving my room. So you can catch Casterly Talk on all your, podcast and YouTube channels, and we're going through the entire series episode by episode. I'm co-hosting on a bunch of those, and it's a lot of fun to revisit.
I bet you are ecstatic that they just started picking up production in New Zealand for the LOTR show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember what episode they're still
that in general, but that in particular.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I remember reading that story, and I was like, my first thought was like, I bet Rachel is psyched. No big deal, for sure. It's going to be, I can't wait for that show to happen. All right, guys, please like and subscribe to this video. We really appreciate it. Please leave us a comment. We would really love those as well. And I just want to let you know about some upcoming stuff we have here going on with Call to Action. I'm just going to see if I can pull it up here real quickly. And maybe you'll see some familiar faces. Just check this out. Yeah, you saw it there, guys. Surprise! Yeah, Rachel and Rachel and Samm. They're going to be coming up on, I believe, this Sunday. I want to say, is that right? Yes. Is this going to be this Sunday at 8:15, 8:30 Pacific, 10:30 Central. That's usually what it is, I believe. But yeah, so definitely stop and hang out, and please, check out. We have a bunch of stuff here at C2A we're trying to work on and improve on. We're also available everywhere audio podcasts are found: Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere. So definitely check us out there, guys. Everyone, stay safe, wear a mask, and just keep watching movies and be happy. It's a tough world out there, and we need to support each other. All right, have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.